We are going live and we are live. Welcome to the AI Leadership Summit Day 2. How exciting. Thank you, friends, for coming back. I know you missed me yesterday, and we are back. We are back today, Day 2 of the AI Leadership Summit. And how exciting am I today? Listen, if you thought yesterday was a dynamic event, wait until you see today. Y'all, I am so excited about the speakers that we have coming before you today. The energy, the information is going to blow your mind in a good way, in a very good way. So what I'm going to recommend that you do today is make sure you stay tuned in. It's so many dynamic pieces that we're going to be talking about today, so much impact that we're going to be talking about today. And so I want to make sure that you are ready to rock and roll. Put it in the chat if you were here for day 1 and you're back. You're back with Denise, Cory, and the team all about this. Put it in the chat. I want to see it. I see you live on LinkedIn. I see you live on YouTube. I see you live. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Put it in the chat if you are back from, hey, Marina, thank you for talking to me, Marina. I thought I was by myself. Thank you so much, Marina. And she says she's ready to rock and roll. I love it. Let's go. So today, again, another dynamic, impactful event. So many tools and nuggets that you're going to pick up from today. I can't even express it, how exciting today is going to be. But one thing you got to do is you got to stay tapped in. One thing I want to make sure that you also know is that VIP is still available. I want to make sure, I'm going to pop in here. I want to make sure that you have Day 2 VIP link just in case, because I want to see you there. I saw some signups on yesterday and the day before. We have some amazing nuggets that's going to be shared as well for Day 2. So we want to make sure that we bring those in. We get you all locked in for that as well. So listen, if you are ready for Day 2, Marina, you've already let me know that you're ready, but I need to know that you are all ready for Day 2. Let's get it. Let's go. Who's ready for Day 2? Who's ready? I need to know. There we go. I see it. Okay. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to actually play a quick little video. But after the video, the very next voice that you're going to hear is our first speaker for today. So exciting. Our first speaker for today, just to give you some insight of who this dynamic person is. If you're ready, I need to hear the drum roll. I can hear it from afar. I can hear it. Nelson Almanzar. Nelson Almanzar is going to be our first speaker for today. And Nelson is a multidisciplinary builder working at the intersection of human factors, cybersecurity, and AI strategy. A U.S. Marine Corps veteran with 25 plus years solving complex problems across design, product strategy, and innovation, Nelson brings a unique lens to how humans and AI systems work together, or fail too. That's so good. He holds an MS in cybersecurity and privacy from the University of Central Florida, studied AI business leadership through MIT Professional Education, and holds a bachelor's in communication design from New School University's Parsons School of Design. Nelson is also leading efforts on some private efforts in Orlando-based consultancy that delivers prototype as a service and 90-day AI roadmaps for small and mid-sized businesses in healthcare. Busy much? I love it. So he has applied research with UCF and Advent Health, focusing on human AI teaming in clinical settings, specifically how to build trust, integrate AI into real workflows, and support high-stakes decisions like sepsis detection. So good. He's also the founder of the SHIELD program at UCF's Military and Veteran Student Success Center, where he helps student veterans explore entrepreneurship and leadership. Nelson's core belief is simple. Technology succeeds when human intent, workflow, and culture align with the system's capabilities. Adoption is a human problem before it's a technical one. Today, Nelson is here to share beyond human error, building trust between people and AI, a practical playbook for designing AI systems that earn confidence, reduce risk, and deliver real outcomes. Again, get ready, grab your pen and paper, get your notebooks ready, grab your morning beverage, because after this video, you are going to hear from the awesome and amazing Nelson.
Any business, even in B2B, we are delivering an experience. Hi, I'm Cory Davison. I am the founder of 4Experience and the author of the 4X Method. I created the 4X Method out of my own experience in living in different silos, which served me as a platform to conduct my research and understand that each one of their silos wants to service the customer, but everyone is doing it differently. So that is why I created the 4X Method, to help you bridge those silos, the customer, the employee, the brand, and the product experience, so you can deliver a cohesive experience and grow your company.
The 4X method is exactly what she lives and breathes, and that's what she's written about in the book. And it's really great to see it come together to eliminate, silos in an organization, work with teams to become aligned and really aligned around all the 4 key pieces in the 4X method.
One of the things I really enjoy about Cory is how focused she is on creating amazing experiences, whether that's through technology introduction or just simply through organizational development, and the ability for teams to come together in new ways and break down those silos that go in between teams. And her method is excellent at being able to connect those together.
I highly recommend this book to anyone in leadership roles who's trying to align teams. Whether you're product manager, design leader, or marketing director, any C-suite executive.
I love Cory's energy. She brings it to everything that she does. She always knows to keep the customer front and center, and she just brings this energy to every room she's in that brings people together and lets us have fun while we work.
No company that couldn't benefit from taking on this entire way of thinking, right? When you blend your product, your customer, your employee, and your brand and build an entire experience around it, I mean, who couldn't benefit from that?
To learn more about how to bring the 4X Method into your organization, go to the4xmethod.com, and I can support you in the implementation of the 4X Method. It's time to bring the human back to the center of your business. And the 4X Method is your experience equation to do exactly that, to bridge the human experience and your technology to work and grow your company.
Congratulations to Cory. Cory!
Thank you.
Oh, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session. As you heard earlier, my name is Nelson Almanzar, and I'm here to talk about AI behavior. AI and beyond human error, and how we're designing AI systems that people can use safely. Just 1 second. I'll be sharing my screen here in just. Here we go. Let me prompt that up right now. Share screen. Okay, if you can hear me, or if you can see the screen, thumbs up in the chat. That'd be very helpful, just to confirm that you can see that. All right, here we go. So what are we talking about when we talk about designing for safety? The idea of safety is not just against threats, it's also against human error or the misuse of technology. And AI is a very powerful technology. And while the subject matter is focused on AI, this really applies to all systems, all tools or pieces of technology and processes that when there's an error or something that's unexpected happens, we typically look at the human and blame the human for these errors. But there really are more like system failures rather than, well, when you get past the human error, which a lot of factors. The human factor is what we're going to be discussing today, not just the technology. And I believe that's the important. Why is that important? Because the technology is going to evolve. It's going to get more advanced and change, as we've seen. And but what doesn't change is the human factor. In the world of cybersecurity, it is a well-known fact that the biggest risk in any system, the biggest cybersecurity risk in the system is not the technology, it's the human factor. It's the human involved. And so because the human creates the risks. And with technology as powerful as AI, as we are getting so creative and increasing its usage, it is important that we understand what risks we're creating as we're using more and more of this technology. So before we dive in, I want to set some guardrails. What do we mean by AI safety, right? And I want to put this into more a practical and immediate. AI safety is not the doomsday. We think of the Terminator or all these scenarios. Yes, they have some possibility of happening, but I want to look at this from a more practical and immediate side. And the definition of AI safety means keeping humans meaningfully in the loop, and not just in the technical loop, like, all right, there's a human involved in the process, but meaningfully means, is the human perceiving what's happening? Are they understanding what's happening? And can they predict what's about to happen? And that's what we'll build towards today. The key is most human errors with AI systems or any systems aren't just human failures, but they're inherently design failures. And there's three non-negotiables that come with that we should not be willing to compromise when it comes to designing systems. And that's safety, dignity, and accountability. And the safety, the system must not create the harm, right? To whether it's patients, if it's a medical scenario, or a driver, or anyone using the technology. The dignity, the system, or the tool, the technology must respect the human agency, where people aren't just button pushers, they're decision makers in the process. There's an autonomy that we need in using the tools. And accountability. When something goes wrong, we need to know why, and avoid the black boxes, and just place the blame on the tool or just the human. It's a shared responsibility. So these three factors are our foundation as we talk about these factors today. But if you take nothing else from this session, is AI safety isn't about making AI smarter. It's about making AI systems that keep humans meaningfully in the loop. All right, so we'll use a scenario to ground us today, or a specific example. I like the healthcare scenario because there's a lot of compliance and processes and steps that need to be followed in this industry, and one of the highest. But this it's easy to dissect all the steps and the scenarios, because it's a critical scenario, right? Healthcare. But there's other scenarios that are less critical, more benign, or even trivial, but the same system applies in those scenarios. So in this one, it's a nurse using a medication administration system. She has to decide what to do with an alert. Does she trust it, override it, or escalate it? And here's the thing: to make a decision, this individual needs to answer these questions. And these questions are about situational awareness. Can they perceive the critical signals? Can they see it? Can they actually see what matters? Is it making sense to them? Can they comprehend what the system is saying or showing or demonstrating? What happens next? Can they project the consequences? Can they predict what will happen if they don't take action or take action? So another analogy could look like driving. When you're driving, think about it. Can you see the stop sign? Does it make sense? Do you know why it's there? Do you know what happens next? In other words, can you predict what happens if you run through it and don't follow the instructions that the sign says? So same thing with AI systems. If the users cannot answer these three questions, they can't make the best decisions, and that's when errors happen. So throughout this talk, we'll keep coming back to these questions. All right, some of you may remember this video or meme from the late 90s, early 2000s. I found out that this was actually a staged event, but this guy gets frustrated with his computer. And it's an example of frustration is just one example of human factors that lead to error, that lead to creating risky behavior. Human factor is what we're focusing on, and it's a frustration or whatever the emotion is a signal, right? We've all felt this. It's a moment where we want the system to act a certain way or to do something, and it gives us something that we're not expecting, or a surprise, if you will. And so what do we do with that? The frustration is a signal of what's wrong with the system, what's wrong with the designs, and this is not matching in the way you want to use it, or how you, if it's a work scenario, how you actually work. Because when we're in these states of frustration, we're in a tunnel, and we get focused on making the system work, and we lose track of everything else. We stop seeing the bigger picture, or noticing the signals. Driving is another more relatable example, where if we're not paying attention, we're creating risks on the road and using a vehicle. So that's when errors happen. And so these signals are pieces of feedback that we want to leverage as a person using, as someone designing these tools, or involved in the creation of these systems and AI tools. So the first level that we're looking at is, can we see it? So here's an example of the nurse, and on the left side is what we call alert fatigue. Everything looks the same. We've seen notifications in our phones that remind us of this, or when a system is just accumulating. So everything, the alert has the same visual weight. And when everything is urgent, nothing is urgent. This is also known as the Las Vegas Strip problem. Those that have been to Vegas know that when you're driving down the strip, it's flashing lights, bright colors everywhere, and everything is screaming for your attention. So that's what this is. When everything is salient, nothing is standing out. This is called change blindness, where everything is shouting for your attention. So what happens is that you see all these alerts, but it's buried, and nothing it becomes more difficult to assess. So what we need is more signal clarity that helps prioritize the alerts, that strategically organizes alerts so that it's more intuitive, easier to understand, more increases its usability. And this is where things like goal-driven attention or data-driven attention, we need to decide how we want to present this information to the user to avoid things like alert fatigue. That's when we start to ignore the signals, and so that we pay attention to the things that are most important when they need to be. The next one is making sense of it, right? The why information. This reduces the guesswork or the wonder, and when we don't know what's going on, the frustration tends to, or emotions like frustration tend to set. And we need to, why is the system flagging this? Does it make sense to you? because we operate not just on the information presented, but more of a mental model, how we see our own interpretations of the information. And so if we don't give users the information they need to build those mental models or present it in a way that they need it, they're just guessing and pattern matching. When you look at AI tools that are very popular, like ChatGPT or Claude, when they first, in the earlier versions, we didn't see a lot of detail what the AI was doing. And in some of the better versions, we see what's happening. You see that the AI is thinking, what resources it is sourced its information from. And so similarly, we want to present information in a way that's explains and that the user can comprehend. And in this case, with the nurse, she would be looking at, all right, here's a high-risk drug detection. You have information related to the alert that explains it, and a recommendation of what to do next. So that's the making sense. Giving users this information can help build better mental models and reduces cognitive load and things like having them guess what's happening. So what happens next is, so the level 3, what happens next? Projecting the consequences. What this is you're asking what is going to happen if I take action or don't take action, or this particular action. And if you look at the flow, they need to be able to understand what is the outcome, what is the points of mitigation. You know, can they prevent an emergency if required? If there's an error, what is the recovery mode? What is an alternative to the option? So being able to assess what your options are can help you prevent the errors from happening, because it keeps the user engaged. If you look at the bottom there, the recommended choice, right? It's highlighted in green. It's not just saying that it's helping them make the judgment. So out of the loop, this is, let's pause here for a second, because this is where we can check in and ask, well, where does this apply? And where have I seen surprises? Well, what do you mean by surprises? Automation surprises. It's when a tool or a system, which in some form is already doing an automation for you. Let's say it's a vehicle or an AI, and it does something that unexpected. And that's what we mean by surprise. It's unexpected because you were out of the loop. So I want you to think about what that means when the event happened, what the reaction was as you read them. Do you feel like it helped, right? When you got an alert, did it cause something that you missed, or was it did you nearly cause a problem, or is this something that you had to undo or do the rework? All right. Well, I can't see the interactions here, but we'll skip that because I thought we were gonna see some faces here, but that's fine. All right. So what happens after that? So why do these things happen? Why does automation surprise happen when users get out of the loop? And it's 3 main reasons. It's the state of visibility. If you didn't know what the system was doing, how it was operating in the background, you had no idea. Maybe it was processing information and maybe making recommendations, but you didn't know. So think about When you type a prompt, it starts generating the text. but is it searching the training data? Is it searching through the internet? Is it reasoning through the steps? Is it making stuff up? So you don't know, and so it's a visibility problem. And so the second factor is the timing cues. You didn't know when the system would act, right? Sometimes we've seen that it's idle or it's spinning, but you don't know when, how long it's, what stage it's at. Maybe you thought it would wait for confirmation, but it didn't, and it just went ahead and did the thing, right? Or maybe it thought it would act immediately, but it didn't, and so you move on. And so this kind of happens. Think about autocorrect when you're typing on your phone. Autocorrect will fix a typo, but sometimes it doesn't, or it does, but sometimes it does it at the wrong moment. And so you send a message with the wrong word. So these are forms of automation that's showing the timing factor of it. Then it's the handoff. What does the handoff protocol mean? This is you didn't know how to take back the control. The system wasn't doing its thing, and you wanted to stop it or you wanted to override it, but you just didn't know how. And so there was no clear handoff. And that's a critical part in designing automations and tools with this kind of feature. For example, if using an AI code assistant, many of us, or a lot of people are using AI to write code. And so if it's starting, let's say, an auto completion function, it's completing the code, but it's going in the wrong direction, and the individual wants to stop it. And so they're hitting stop or hitting escape or hitting the stop button, but it just keeps going. So they just had to wait for it to finish and delete and start all over. So that's a protocol failure, right? When the end user cannot take back control. And that's one of the scariest ones, because that's where automation becomes a trap. The system is doing something you don't want and you can't stop it. And you're just along for the ride. So think about that in more critical scenarios. Let's say driving. We all have our, well, not all, those of us that have tried self-driving cars. It's fascinating to see how these things operate, but at the same time having a well-designed handoff protocol, where I believe it's just a small nudge to the steering wheel and you're back in control. It requires very little physical effort to do it. But they recommend you still have to do your part and keep your hands on the wheel. And systems are designed to keep track of that. So those are three factors and that are critical to just to all of this. All right. So another factor is the reality of the intended design versus the actual experience. So imagine a workload when we're everyone's into automation workflows and designing these agents that kind of execute all these complex steps, and we try to replicate that based on our idea of what a path looks like. And in this case, for the nurse, has to review an alert, verify the information, and administer the medication. Clean, simple, makes sense. But the experience, the actual, it's like it's not linear. It's 8 steps. There's interruptions. There's the time in between, and that's just on a good day, right? Imagine when things are hectic in a scenario like an emergency room or something like that. So what happens? They start to review the alert, but the phone rings. It's a pharmacy. There's another question from a patient. They take a call, and they just have to eventually come back to it and get refine the alert. They have to remember what they were doing. And when they start to verify, but the patient calls out, right? So all these things happen. And you look at when these moments add up, it just doesn't align. The technology is not aligned, and that's why you see a poor adaptation, a poor return on investment on systems. And that's when errors happen, disuse or misuse of the system happens. Not because the individuals are incompetent, but because the system didn't account for the reality of their process or their workload. And that's what good design, well-designed systems do. So here we go. All right, let's skip to the next slide. The trust, this is where trust factors come in. And trust is not black and white, yes or no. It's a evolving factor, and we want to always find that Goldilocks, that center of where it's properly calibrated in what. So if you look at on the left, we have misuse. That's when we overtrust something. In this case, AI, when we trust it too much, we don't check or verify the information and accept whatever it says. And that's dangerous because we know it makes mistakes. It hallucinates, pattern matches. Another example is your GPS. When you use it, sometimes you program the GPS to take you to point B, but you know that there's traffic on the path that it's follow, and it may take you that way. Or there's a shortcut that, at least in the earlier versions, it got smarter in doing that. It's less and less, but it's knowing that if sometimes we may overtrust it. I think there was a case where there was a road that was not fully completed, and it was some sort of bridge, and the driver was following the GPS blindly, just and ended up in a bad situation. So that's doing it without verification. Now, then we have calibrated trust, right? That's when we trust and verify. And in an AI, we know it's reliable. We question when it's uncertain, but we use it as a tool, not as a end all be all or as a crutch. But this doesn't happen automatically. This is a process. It's not a fixed one-time thing. So staying in the loop is also part of the responsibility of the human. All right. And so finally, and then we have distrust, right? When we ignore its recommendations, we ignore because of alert fatigue, or because we don't think it's accurate at all. So we just disuse it. And that's another factor to watch out, or a signal that we want to watch out for. And timeliness, transparency, graceful failure are the trust signals that we want to look for. So with designing for these three moves, these three steps, we want to look at transparency. We've heard that before, but this is the foundation. This is where we want to show what the system is doing. In this case, AI. What is it? Is it reasoning? It's not just the output, but it's really showing what the process is. And we want to explain these key factors. What data did it use? What patterns did it see? And we want to have it display its level of confidence or accuracy in its output. Why does this matter? Because user can't calibrate trust without understanding what it's doing. This is what is called the black box. They either overtrust it or distrust it. And in medicine, that's a very critical scenario. It's not an acceptable risk in the medical field. It may be acceptable in other domains and in less critical areas, but not in medicine. Then we want meaningful control. This is about agency. End users need to feel in the control, right? Just with the full self-driving feature and in the self-driving vehicles, you want to feel like you can take over at any moment. Otherwise, that agency can lead to all the maladaptations we've been discussing. So to override needs to be easy. We need to be easy to reject a recommendation. In the case of AI, one button or something easy to just dismiss. We see a lot of those design features with the X and the check mark. We've seen features around feedback, a way to report an error, that maybe the alert was wrong. And so the building in proper feedback systems is important. Be able to report that or escalate. When the AI can handle it, users need to know what to do next or where to go. This agency is critical to maintain that situational awareness we talked about earlier. Because if we're just driven by the automation, or we will stop paying attention, we'll stop catching the errors. We could easily fall asleep at the wheel if we're not paying attention. Then on the third, we have graceful failure. That's really about resilience. Systems they fail, and AI makes mistakes. The GPS makes mistakes. And so the question is, when it fails, does it fail safely or catastrophically? And what does that mean? Well, is there a safe fallback? Does it degrade safely, or does it just crash or freeze? Is there a recovery path? Are there clear steps to solve the problem? And can you build a buffer in the time, or not assume that everything will go perfectly? So you have to account for that. So why does this matter? Because this is where the design can help determine whether the failure is the degree of the failure that you're dealing with. So how else does that look like? That's when the system shows, in this case, shows the last verified medication. There's a prompt to verify manually. And so this is maintaining them, keeping them engaged, and they can still maintain the control. Another factor is culture. And culture is not just a group or an organization, a company, but that's also an individual. That includes our own tendencies and habits of how we look at how we engage with the tool. And so there's some factors in when it comes to this. The first one here is psychological safety. This leads to certain behaviors where you can verify, report, learn, which leads to outcomes or errors, where you can catch the errors or that trust can be calibrated. So this means that you can speak up when you see a problem. You can report an error without any kind of a fear or any kind of punishment. If you say you don't understand this alert, it's not a big deal. You'll get whatever you need, or it's not difficult to attain. And because if we can't give this kind of feedback, we'll override alerts without reporting, and then we'll do just what happens is that we'll find a workaround the system instead of fixing it. Right? We'll find a shortcut or some kind of heuristic that will go against how the system was intended to be designed. That can lead to errors. So I wanted to share a mini experiment where the next time you're using an AI system or something of similar complexity, think about those three questions. Can you around situational awareness, can you perceive what's happening? Can you see it? Can you see the alerts or the information? Does it make sense? And can you predict what happens next? And capture that, see how that what happens, and then looking for a transparency element. Perhaps your favorite AI tool has a level of transparency feature that shows you a confidence level or other key factors that can explain reasoning. Identify feedback opportunities. Is it easy for you to report errors or edge cases, or add a button, or add a Slack channel or a communication? For example, in the self-driving vehicles, when you interrupt the self-driving mode and you take over, there's an immediate prompt to record a 20-second voice recording of why you took over, why do you interrupt it, and whatever the reason is, that information helps the system become smarter. So something to keep in mind. And that concludes our talk for today. Please feel free to connect with me, and I appreciate your time today.
All right. Thank you, Nelson. Let's get it. Let's go. We're super excited. I saw all the love in the chat. Kudos to Nelson for getting us through that. What an amazing, amazing topic, and a meaty topic, because it's so many of those things that we just don't know and we overlook. One example that you gave, Nelson, about like the autocorrect of the text messages, that's me. I'm guilty. I'm like, that's not what I said. That's not the word. That's not how I spelled that word. So I love you bringing that example in. So we're super excited about that. I am going to bring Cory up to the stage with us, Nelson, because Cory just wants to give some dialogue based on this session that you just had. And I could see, again, she was even firing in the chat, like with all the amazing things that you were talking about. So Cory, welcome Cory in to the stage. So exciting. Cory, I'll hand it over to you. Wasn't that an amazing session with Nelson?
I mean, like, please, like, everybody clap, clap, clap. This is amazing. Nelson, I know how hard it is to go live, you know, with such, like you said the word, Denise, meaty topics, right? And you did it marvelously. And I love, you know, I was engaging the audience. I was looking at many people, you know, following the live on Facebook and on YouTube. And, you know, so it's so exciting to have you, you know, presenting this, Nelson. I want to celebrate it, that you're here. And for those who may not have watched, you know, and you're just like tuning in, it's like, hey, wait, what did I miss? It's like, you're not, you know, you can always tune in. You're going to see the replay for a period of time. It's going to show up in my feed. But if you don't want to miss more, you can actually go and sign up here to the forexmethod.com/AI Summit. Get on the VIP. Don't you like being a VIP? It's like you're going to be able to digest this information. You don't want to miss it. Nelson, I want to congratulate you. And I have some, you know, let's unpack. This information was so good. I want to unpack it with a conversation. Are you good with that?
Yes, I'm excited. Yes.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's so many things. What I love that you said was that if you don't take, you know, if you didn't watch the whole thing, there was like one message about AI safety that you wanted people to know about, right? And what is the critical factor when it comes to AI safety?
Safety is the most important aspect because, well, you can attach the word safety, trust, right? Privacy. the safety that it means it's going to do what you expect it to do. That's all very close related to the concept of safety. And sometimes we think of tools as, hey, we want to make it faster, better, in some way, make it more convenient.
Yeah.
But so what's interesting, having dove into the cybersecurity world and understanding what does that look like in the digital environment, and how it relates to how we're using it and how we're building and creating tools. Because now almost anybody can create a digital tool and use data and put themselves out there. So we're creating more and more, but at the same time, there's inherent risks that are being created as we innovate and get more integrated with AI. But so paying attention to both the innovation and the safety and security risks that we are creating. And it's challenging because they're competing with each other. They're right. If there's more steps to sign in, or because of multi-factor authentication, that's going to make it slower, which is not goes against convenience. And so what's that happy medium that we and we've come a long way, like using the digital bio authentication, and even multi-factor authentication is, I think, one of my favorites to make that convenient. If in iOS environments, it's when you have that multi-factor code, it comes right up in your text. You don't even need to switch to another application. And so they've thought about that, and it's like, well, we don't want to make them jump through hoops to do all this. So let's put it at their fingertips, literally, so it can just copy and paste into. I don't know if I'm painting that picture. When you're logging into your bank, from if it's on your phone, you don't need to go to the text message to pick up the 4-digit code, and so you can easily do that. So that's just a small example of where design, innovation, and the needs for security are meeting. So so we want to look at the same patterns in how we're integrating and how we're dealing with AI. And I think AI is the buzzword now, but these challenges and these human factors have been present ever since. As you saw in the demo video of our frustrated friend picking up his computer. I mean, imagine some degree of that, or some level of that, with our robots that we're gonna eventually have in the streets or in our homes. And so,
absolutely. Yes. That's what I thought. I was like, why do we not know that it's going to happen, right?
Or when you look at systems like when you're on the phone and you have the automated system, press 1 for this, 5 for that. And when we have no time or patience, we just go like, we say representative, and sometimes that's not, that's because we just don't want to deal with the system. And so those are examples of these factors in play.
Amazing. I really love, everything about this is because, so we might look at it and, for those who watched my session yesterday, this is it's tying it all together, right? Because we were talking about the importance of harnessing both data and emotions. And this is where it comes back to, like, data is about people, technology is about people, right? Adoption is about people. Like, you don't build a technology on its own doesn't mean anything if there's not a user on the other end. And what caught really, what I loved about this is that it's a time where we actually have to practice rethinking the experience, right? We really have to think about all of these aspects with what you just shared about the bank validation. It's like, I remember when the first time that I used, those digits, when it actually texted me the code and it was appearing, and you can just embed it in the, as you're validating your bank account or a payment or such. And I remember the feeling of like, oh, thank you, someone got this, right? Or, different experiences on, like, your password. That's one of my pet peeves, right? It's like, pins and passwords. It's like, please make my life easier. But So this balance, but one of the things I wanted to touch on that you referenced is this balance between the speed that we're being asked to use and adopt, because we know that more companies are asking employees to adopt AI. I should say not companies, organizations, right? Like we see it even in government, that they're looking to ask employees, to adopt more AI. But how are we going to put guardrails, to understand that it's not just about speed, it's about taking the moments for risk analysis, right? And training people to understand that. So what have you seen, or what would be your advice in terms of identifying those risks?
Yeah, I think it's looking at the scenarios. It's situational awareness. It's part of it. It's in some cases it's critical that we take proper precautions, proper steps before the next, right? Proper planning. And sometimes planning is so. An example, in a non-critical situation, even for this event, I posted an image posting this event, and I ran it through AI because I was trying to edit my photo because it was blurry. But and I had asked, the prompt was to keep the text the same, just here's a cleaner version of the photo. And the photo came out great. I missed a couple of typos, because if you ever try to use chat or the AI and text, sometimes it gets, there's a lot of errors that are prone. It was like 98% accurate, but I missed it. And I remember why I missed it. I was in the middle of a conversation. I'm trying to post on LinkedIn. And so I was distracted. And so that's a very small example of what a situational awareness is like. All right, I'm doing something. Well, what's the level of critical importance? This is probably, a typo is not a big deal on a social media post, but a typo in a lawyer's document or a lease or something, or medical prescription, those are highly critical. And obviously the situation dictates. So situational awareness, and when we practice these principles, will help drive, I think, I would say, spread the shared responsibility that's involved in the creation and the usage of the technology. And it's both. It's not just the designers or developers or the businesses. End users have a responsibility as well, right? We look at the vehicle, the car, technology, more sophisticated now than ever before, but always it's been a technology and considered utilitarian, a tool, but more than that. And so how do we share that responsibility? We know, well, we had to learn, like, oh, we shouldn't be drinking and driving. So look at the many years it took to kind of get that. We shouldn't be distracted. When the phones came out, the mobile phones became popular in early 2000s. Now we had laws around texting and driving. And so it's a dance, and we're gonna see ebbs and flows. We're gonna see small disasters, we're gonna see big disasters, and errors happening. And like my social media post with the typo, that's an error, very minuscule compared to something more critical. But nonetheless, the same principles apply. And I think paying attention to how we're engaging when in the particular situation is critical.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Nelson. This conversation, we have to keep it going. But one of the things that came to mind is that AI is not about they or them, it's us, right? Like we're all creating it together. So for those watching, get involved, right? Let's get involved in this. And thank you again, Nelson. And you'll be watching more of Nelson in the replay and going forward too. So thank you.
Thank you. It was great being here.
So Cory and Nelson, I'm so sorry. I have a question, if it's okay, just really quick. And you've already kind of touched on this, so super quick, Nelson, but and Cory, you can chime in as well. But as we think about AI and AI taking on like more decision-making roles, how should we think about accountability when things go wrong. So similar to what you just described about your cell phone and the typing and all of that. Would you say that's mostly like a design challenge, a human oversight, or a little bit of both? How would you help us out
It's
with that,
it's
Nelson?
a blend. I think the immediate, all right, it's the end user because you're the one responsible for the technology. Let's say like the car, you're responsible for how this thing, you're responsible for in every way possible, right? And we jump through hoops to attach that responsibility, right? Registrations, car insurance, all that stuff. But texting, a much more trivial scenario, uh, you're responsible for like proofreading and checking before you hit send, or right, and not just relying on autocorrect. But and so it's like, yeah, this thing can make a mistake. You should know that, and you've seen that. Um, and being able to say, all right, next time I'm going to make sure I double check it. So but at the same time, how do we design it so that we can prevent or minimize these errors? Because we've learned that, well, we can account for the human factors that lead to errors or risks by better designing guardrails in the AI or in the system, in the vehicle, the phone. And so it starts, okay, human made a mistake. What happened? And then when you do some forensics and understand what actually happened, can we prevent this from happening again, despite of who's behind the wheel? And so we despite whatever the conditions are. And so we want to go ahead and innovate so that we can find that happy medium where we still get the convenience of the innovation, but also mitigate for risks.
Awesome. Very, very good response, Nelson. Thank you so much again. We have clapped you up. We have celebrated you during this time, and we cannot continue. Can't do enough of it. So, congratulations again
Thank
on
you.
just being able to share this moment with us. So good. So, so good. So, Nelson, thank you again. Amazing, amazing session. Cory, I think we should take a quick 10-minute break while we get ourselves prepared for our next speaker. Get you some water, get our next speaker some water so that we can get this party started. And so what I'll do is put us on like a quick 10-minute break, everybody. Go grab a coffee, go grab a tea, whatever your morning or your afternoon brunch beverage is, whatever it is that you like. Go and grab that, because pen and paper. You thought session 1 was pen and paper worthy. We got session 2 coming up for day 2 of the AI Leadership Summit. Welcome, welcome, welcome for those that are just joining us. Just give us a moment. We're going to go on a 10-minute break, reset, and then get ourselves ready for the next. See you soon.
Hello, everyone. Well, welcome back. I hope you grabbed your snack, your treat, your coffee, because get ready. We are going to have our next speaker pretty soon. And first, I wanted to connect with you before I hand it back to Denise, who will introduce our next speaker. And I want to ask you a few questions here, and really think about what comes next for you. You know, if you've been following here, if you're probably like really curious, what does this mean to you? I wanted to make sure that you are ready for the future. So let me just share some slides here that I have prepared for you. And give me 1 second. As you know, this is all about you, but there takes some technical parts that I wanted to share. So you can see my screen. So first of all, I know that you have loved this summit so far, because it is really bringing an applicable way of how you treat AI. You know, so how are you going to put this into practice? It's not going to happen just because you're listening to a summit, or because you read a book, or because you keep attending conversations. I know that you want more. If you're like me, you want more. You want to put it all together. And what if I told you that in the next 30 days, we'll reimagine your role in the AI era so you can lead and not lag behind? So really, like, if you want to be a leader, you don't want this to come and catch you by surprise. I've been thinking of you, because it's like, I know what happens when I go to a conference, I take all my notes, I come back to the everyday, nothing really changes. But what I am going to present to you is an opportunity. Here is to reimagine your role in leadership. So in the next 30 days, imagine if you can boost your AI confidence and your competitive advantage, because knowledge is power. But you know what is more powerful? Practice. So when we put knowledge into practice, I know that it creates change. And you want to be ready, not just for yourself, but for your teams. You want to be ready, not just for your career, but for your business and your impact. So what does this mean? That what if over the next 30 days, you went from this stage? This is for, any leaders or professionals that feel uncertain about how AI will affect your jobs, your teams, and your relevance. If you move from that to having clarity, confidence, and a practical plan that's going to fit you, that's going to be about, I understand that I can have this conversation, but more importantly, I have a plan. Okay. So what if you also went from feeling overwhelmed by all the noise and the lack of structure, the way that you integrate? So this is for those who are like in the thick of it as well. And you're going that you want your role to be AI enhanced. You want to lead the conversations about adoption and demonstrate value. So you've been sitting on the sidelines. No, it's time to join the conversation. It's time to be and raise your hand and know what you're talking about. I know what that did to me when I started to study it and learn it more. But this is not just about theory base. This is about you. So what does this mean? Is basically that we can go to the next slide, Lisa. Means we have, here we go. We can reimagine your role in 30 days to get your AI confidence and competitive advantage. And to do that, you need to understand what this is for. I'm not going to give you all the details here today, because I really want you to reach out to me, and I'll share more what's in it for you. Trust me, I have designed it with you in mind. But this is for people who don't, if you are really looking for you attended the summit and you just don't want inspiration anymore. You want integration. This is for you. If you're feeling stuck, and finding out, how AI fits into your role or how you're going to help your team, this is for you. If you want to know more than just know that AI is a thing and you want to speak confidently about it, this is for you. And if you are ready to lead the change, this is for you. And change makers, you are everywhere in the company. I see you, and you know who you are. You don't need a label or a ticket. You don't need a job title for it. You are a change maker. This is for you. This is not for a specific cubicle or a specific square on the Teams or Zoom calls, right? And if you are craving really structure, accountability, and more importantly, momentum, not just another course, it is for you. And more importantly, hey, you know what I'm all about. If you want to keep technology human while you amplify your performance, if you want to keep the human at the center, this is for you. It's not for anyone who wants a quick crash course, who's, wants to sit back, and let others lead. It's not a quick win. You're going to put the effort. I'm just going to guide you. And it's not for those who are going like, not me. It's not my thing. AI is not for me. That's totally fine. You're not there yet. No judgment. I'm just inviting you to come and join us. So you'll be asking questions. I know you have questions, but I'm going to answer a couple of them, like when, why, what, it's 30 days. We're starting soon. So come and join us. We're starting as soon as next week. So go to theforexmethod.com and I'll share more about what this involves. It's all virtual. So you can join from anywhere, and you can join live or you can join at your own time. There's going to be absolutely, the accountability is on you. Engagement, yes. And more importantly, you're going to think like, oh, how much does it cost? I'm not going to tell you this right now because you got to come and connect with me. If you go to theforexmethod.com, you can click on connect with Cory, book a call with me. We will respond. Denise and I will respond. But think about this. Budget. Hey, guys, if you are an employee, go talk to your boss and say, that budget that we're not using about, my professional development, I have an idea. Okay. And then we can talk. And then for those who are like entrepreneurs, business owners, I've been there. And you know what? Here's a hint for you. I call it tax deductible. You can actually put it as tax deductible, right? So if you're looking like, your year end is coming, you want to really look about how do you get the most and not give it, to the government. This is something that's just going to grow for you. Okay, this is an investment. So my friends, that's why I invite you again to reach out. In 30 days, we have built something that is not just make-believe. It's really about putting AI into practice for you, having your own personal plan and developing, just taking it to the next level. Are you ready? Come to theforexmethod.com. Absolutely. So I am excited to see you there because this is like nothing else that you have seen. All right. So now, Denise.
So good, Cory. Thank you so much for that. That is so good. And we are super excited about joining the 4X method. I'm just like, where do I sign up? I'm going to myself go to the website and be like, hey, Cory, can I get a call with you? Can I get a call with Denise? I am Denise, but can I get a call with me? So good. And ladies and gentlemen, for those that are watching, if you're watching live and even if you're watching the replay, this is an opportunity. Cory just spelled out what it looks like for you to be, who you are versus where you want to go when it comes to this AI journey. So this is the opportunity. Tap in, theforexmethod.com. schedule that call. We want to see you there. All right, Cory, without further ado, I'm excited to bring on our next speaker. But the great thing about this, y'all, is that this is almost like a dynamic duo that we're getting ready to experience. So it's almost like, it's better than Netflix. I was about to compare it to Netflix, but this is better than Netflix because we're about to see some great interaction between you and our next speaker that I'm about to bring up to the stage. Before I bring him up, Cory, let me just go ahead and introduce Peter Hartl. I'm so excited to bring you up to the stage. Just give me 1 second. I have a disclaimer, y'all. I don't usually read from the slides, but I want to make sure that everyone knows that all of our speakers, for integrity purpose, we want to make sure that each of our speakers at this summit brings their own unique expertise and point of view, okay? Don't go judging, don't go squabbling about it. It's everyone's own unique expertise and their point of view. The content and opinions shared are entirely their own and don't necessarily represent Forex Experience or event organizers. This is just an opportunity, guys, for information gathering and for us to dig deep. All speakers are responsible for ensuring their materials are original and free of any brand or copyright conflicts. I had to say that out loud. Normally, I wouldn't do something like that, but because of the context, I want to make sure that we know exactly what we have going on. So, without further ado, I am excited and have the honor and privilege to invite to the stage Peter Hartl. Peter is a senior transformation and strategy leader with over 20 years of experience aligning people, purpose, and technology to unlock opportunities, reimagine services, and deliverable, predictable enterprise outcomes. Peter connects vision with action, translating executive intent and complex technologies into plans people can actually understand. Now you're talking my language, Peter. He has a proven record of multiple successful programs, products, and transformations, from creating and leading the social media and social care program at a national telecom to the strategic digital transformation program at a top research university and the transformation of entire organizations into product-centric operating models. He has also held senior positions in AI development teams and has experienced the challenge of AI within global organizations as it matures. Peter's professional foundations are in technology, transformation, and human experience across the energy sector, mining, banking, higher education, telecom, and government, with roles leading digital strategy at multiple organizations. It is my honor and privilege to bring Peter Hartl to the stage. Let's bring you up, Peter, before we bring on Cory. Mic check,
Hi,
making
Denise.
sure we
How you
can hear
doing?
you. Yeah,
Can you hear me
we can
okay?
hear you.
All right. That's awesome.
Yes,
I
loud
don't know
and
how
clear, Peter.
how am I going to match your energy? It's going to be almost impossible. That's
I'll sprinkle
fantastic.
some. I'll sprinkle some over to
That's
you,
great.
Peter. You can have a little bit of it. We're excited to hear from you. Are you excited about this conversation we're about to
Yeah,
have, Peter?
absolutely. Absolutely excited.
Awesome.
Thanks, Denise.
Awesome. You're very welcome. So what I'm going to do is now bring our dynamic leader up to the stage. Peter, you want to give like a quick introduction and then we can bring Cory on to engage with you, or do you want me to just bring her on now? How you want to do it? Your show.
Yeah, I'll do a bit talk for a bit and then we'll bring Cory on. I'll
Cool.
let you know when. Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Awesome,
Denise.
Peter. All right. You're in good hands. Over to you.
Awesome. Appreciate it. So today we're going to try and do something maybe a little bit different, something that's maybe a bit new. We're not going to have any PowerPoint presentations as we go through this, but rather let's have some conversations. Let's talk about some things when it comes to AI and primarily enterprise strategy. And then a little bit later, we'll bring Cory in and maybe we'll try and simulate a few real life conversations that would happen between someone who's a transformational leader and an executive at one of these organizations. So the focus is going to be more on how transformational leaders can advise and maybe assist AI executives in bringing AI into the strategic plan or the strategy of the company. What this is not about is how to use ChatGPT or Claude or something else to do strategy. There's lots of information that's out there online on the prompts to do that. We're also not going to discuss specific technologies, but rather we're going to discuss where does AI fit within the bigger enterprise picture. So things like the mandate, goals, planning, how does it all come together, and where does it orchestrate? So hopefully as we go through this, we'd like to share a bit more of a practical understanding of how AI can fit into the strategy. Are there themes in the narratives of what you can share with? And as a transformational leader, maybe even what are the things that you could watch out for as you have those conversations? Ultimately, what we want to do is use technology to make people better. Technology for the sake of technology, that I have a really hard time with that. There's so many times that we put out something and go, this is the cool, shiny thing. AI is a bit different because it's so transformational, but technology, including AI, simply for the sake of technology, isn't strong enough. We need to create experiences that make people better. Now, if all that sounds appealing, it is fantastic to have you here and join in both the live stream, and if you're able to watch this later on, that's awesome too. So for a few minutes, let's talk about AI and enterprise strategy. There is a lot of noise right now. If you go onto LinkedIn or you go into other areas, you're going to find so much information on AI. AI is creating content about AI. It's amazing. There's headlines about the AI bubble. There's headlines about massive returns from AIs, but there's also a lot of headlines about some fairly large failures. Some large numbers, around 90% or so of AI is failing. Right? That's a challenge. So when you look at the overall strategy of an organization, where does this all fit in? Where should it fit all in? Now, while we're not going to be doing a mini MBA type course on enterprise strategy, we do want to talk about the big collection of things. So if it's okay, let's actually use a bit of an analogy. If you had to explain where AI fits in, here's an analogy that you can think of. Now, I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and like a lot of Canadians, I like hockey. So if it's okay, we're going to use a bit of a sports analogy, and we're going to use a bit of a hockey analogy to talk about the organization and how it works together. And we all know that organizations are connected with a lot of different things. There's a mandate, right? Why does this organization exist? What's its purpose? What's its overall reason for being? We talk about mandates, where what is this organization trying to accomplish? But then we start talking about goals, and we start talking about objectives. We start talking about strategy. We start talking about tactics, stakeholders, all these different kinds of things. So maybe let's illustrate it. When we think about a hockey team, let's say the Calgary Flames, what brings all of the people together as a team? The players on the ice, the coaching staff, even the person that's filling beer at the stadium. What brings it all together? Well, they all share a common goal. They all want to win the Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup is the trophy when it comes to the National Hockey League. And it is a feeling that many of these players, they dream about it. But everyone together has that common goal. They want to live the Stanley Cup, or they want to lift that Stanley Cup above their heads. But how does a player know that this is the time that they can lift the cup above their heads? Well, if the Stanley Cup is the goal, objectives are really what helps the organization know that it's time to lift it. If they win more games than any other team, they make it through the playoffs to the end, they then have that ability to lift it over their head. The team knows they have to win that specific number of games. They have to be able to go through the different series. They have the objectives that they need to meet that everybody is super clear on. And when they can do that, they can lift that cup above their heads and they can celebrate. Now, associated with it, they can't just lift that cup above their heads because they think that they won. Like with most major sports, somebody, often a representative or an official from the league that they're playing in, has to give them that trophy in order to say, it's above your heads. You know what? In business, that happens a lot too. We have stakeholders, and those stakeholders, whether that be a customer who purchases a product, an internal team that we're providing a product or a service to, they're saying to us, hey, yeah, you actually met that objective. You did something. We bought your product, or we like what you're doing. You are successful. They give you that. There's stakeholders around that are there. I mean, think about the stakeholders of a hockey team. You've got players, you've got fans, you've got owners. It's actually similar to businesses. We've got shareholders. We've got people that are watching, even from a media perspective, when it comes to the size of the organization. But we have teams within the organization, especially if we're working as an internal team, that are going, yeah, we see what you're doing. We agree that you're helping meet the objectives, or you're meeting those targets. Well, let's continue on with the analogy for a second. So you've got the stakeholders, but then how does the hockey team all come together? Well, they have a strategy, right? Hockey teams may decide to focus in on a certain type of play, or they may focus in on certain investments with players where you go, well, I'm going to get that new player there because it's going to fit here. Well, that's strategy, right? They decide how that's going to get together, but they do that with the intent of what? Lifting the Stanley Cup, right? They're getting that trophy and meeting those objectives as they go. And they also do that in a way that the stakeholders go, yeah, I agree, this is right. And then it goes down to the tactical level. The decisions, like even the game, what goaltender or what player are you going to put against another player? Even going back to the simple beer analogy, what brand of beer are we going to serve at the stadium? All these things come together, and they come together to help the players win. They come together to meet goals and objectives. Now, let's connect this back again to business. So within businesses, we do face a challenge sometimes where leaders cannot effectively articulate that cascade where we can connect what we're doing on a day-to-day basis with what the goals and the objectives are, either for a large part of the organization as a division or for the organization as a whole. And because AI is so transformative, leaders have often elevated the position of AI quite high, saying it's our goal to use AI. It's an objective. Well, AI is not necessarily a goal. Is AI the trophy that we're going to lift over our heads? No, not really, is it? AI is more on the perspective of something that's going to help us to achieve the objectives so that we can lift that trophy above our heads, so that we can say that we're successful. So again, AI is so transformative that there's this desire to bring it up, especially because we're seeing so much about big gains in AI and big changes that AI is pushing forward. So leaders often try to bring it up higher. But should AI be that high? What we'd like to suggest is AI is a how. AI is something that we can use as a how very, very effectively to help an organization reach their what. And the what is that objective, and the why is to lift that trophy above their heads. So as we think about that cascading effect of enterprise strategy and where things fit together, AI should be used as a strategy and a tactic to help you achieve the business goals that are usually connected to money, right? What's our revenue? What's our savings, customers, things like that. A variety of different goals help you to reach those goals either faster, more efficiently. But AI in itself, unless you're an AI organization where you're actually selling AI software, you're probably not going to be in a position to say AI is just simply the goal. Again, technology for the sake of technology is not necessarily the most effective thing. So hope that makes sense to think about where it fits in maybe just a little bit differently. Now, how about we have a bit of fun on this? So, hoping to invite Cory back to the stage here, and let's actually have a bit of a conversation. And I'm going to put Cory on the spot here, and for transparency, Cory and I talked a little bit about this, but we've purposely tried to keep this as authentic as possible. So I've asked Cory to role play a persona, and to role play. Cory's going to pretend to be an executive of customer care at, let's just say, a power utility company. Pretty big organization. Let's say 5,000 people, revenue $1 billion or so. And she's got about 400 people in her team. And as we talk, Cory's going to bring up some questions. And Cory's facing a challenge. Costs of care for supporting customers is increasing all the time. She wants to use AI to save money. Right? This is great. We're seeing all of her peers going, AI is wonderful. She's seeing all the things on LinkedIn, and she's at the beginning of her 3-year planning cycle. Now, Cory is going to have some questions, and let's talk about it as if a transformation leader were to have a conversation. So, Cory, how are you doing?
Hey, Peter, I've been waiting to have this conversation with you. Thanks so much for making the time to chat with me.
Yeah, thanks, Cory. It's great to see you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Peter. I've been meaning to talk to you because right now I have this. I'm right now in this next planning cycle. It's coming up soon, and I wanted to get ahead of it. What I was thinking is that I want to have using AI as one of the big goals for my team in the next cycle, right? So what do you think?
So, those sitcoms where you talk to the camera and then you talk back to the person? We're going to do a bit of that right now. So this is a huge opportunity. As a transformational leader, this is one of those gift questions. What do you think? And it's so easy to simply start with, yes, use AI. This is great. Because as a transformational leader, we like to use these technologies. We like to be able to open access to tools that make people better. But it's also an opportunity for a transformational leader to slow down for a moment and just do some listening. So maybe a reply, something like this to Cory could help. Cory, that sounds really awesome. And it sounds like a great idea. I would love the opportunity to work with you more on this. At the core, our team's role, you would agree that it's about caring for customers, and there could be so many different opportunities to use AI as part of that. But maybe could we first clarify a couple of things? Could we talk about what are the wins that we're trying to get? What objectives are we trying to get in the next cycle? And then maybe can we talk about quantifying that? Can we talk about quantifying what that looks like? And then if we quantify that, we can look for ways that AI can accelerate that, advance it, help us get to those faster, and use AI that way. What do you think?
Well, one of the things that comes to mind is that the CEO has given us a challenge of a net zero budget for increase next year. So I'm thinking, how do we use AI? How do we leverage AI to manage, to stay within budget?
So this is another opportunity for a great answer to a question. Cory just gave a gift there of helping identify one of the objectives towards getting to the goal of the division. And she talked about that zero net budget increase. So we already have something to quantify that. So as we respond to Cory on something like this, we can tie back to the net budget zero increase. So we could say something to Cory like, thanks for sharing that, because that's a key piece of information that it's a net zero next year. One of the things that we can look at together is what are the objectives related to what we're going to deliver? And then let's specifically look at areas where AI could advance that quickly without adding a whole lot of extra cost. And that could be a tool that we already have that we could expand, or we can start rapidly testing and prototyping a tool that is new and available. So instead of jumping specifically into a technology, we're spending a little bit more time at talking about the why and the what before we jump into the how. Cory, how did that feel?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to make sure that, that we articulate very clearly our goals. And I need help in kind of identifying, what's the difference. And I don't want to get caught in the technology. I want to make sure that it actually is going to be crystal clear. So we need some help with those alignment in our goals and objectives across the organization. What do you think?
So here's another one, looking kind of back to our audience here for a second, where Cory is asking for assistance, not just with the AI implementation side of this, but with the alignment. And this is another opportunity for a transformational leader to be able to say, yes, I can help, and I can focus this on human experience. So as a response, the response could be something like, Cory, would absolutely love to assist in cascading it all together and telling the story of how AI could help people be better and how that connects to our objectives and our goals. And simply, I'll just stop there in my response to Cory and go back to the audience for a second. Being able to share that in a way that is simple allows the leader to be able to open the door to say, yes, we're going to have these conversations, we're going to continue on, but we didn't suddenly go, AI is the most awesome thing in the world. We go, we're focusing on the business first, and AI is an enabler, and we come back to the people and making the humans better. So Cory, what do you think?
Well, definitely now you're speaking my language.
Absolutely.
Because that's all I care about is the people, right? My people and the people that we serve. So This is super helpful. Thank you.
So going back to our wider audience of the live stream here, some of the keys, and again, this may feel like we're not talking enough about AI, but AI fits into this larger enterprise picture in a very unique way. It's about identifying the objectives, identifying success measures, and doing that with an eyes open before adopting the AI approach. It needs to be understood why humans will be better because of this adoption, and then connecting what we're doing on AI to the why of the organization. Because again, AI within the powerful scope, it's a how for us to make the organization better. Some other little things there. Small trials at low cost with proper guardrails can prove theories quickly when it comes to questions like this. So the ability for us to do that and bring it in is always welcome. So if it's okay, Cory, let's actually switch over to our next subject, or let's go into a bit of a second thing. Let's talk a bit about peaks and valleys for a bit. So one of the things that we're seeing in a lot of organizations and a lot of headlines is that there are massive wins when it comes to AI, huge 200, 300% gains. And then we also hear a lot of maybe not so great gains. We hear a lot of things where it's been a negative in the enterprise, where budgets have gone down in AI, or the investment, the return on investment isn't necessarily there. So what I'd like to propose is just a very simple statement. Variability is a key thing that transformational leaders need to understand. So both you and I, Cory, have worked in some fairly large organizations. And when we take broad strokes of large organizations, let's take a company like IBM. I happen to have worked for IBM at one point in my past, and it was a wonderful organization. And a lot of people talk about IBM as the blue chip stock, right? They have large investors. What does an organization like that want? Well, they want stability. They want They want to be able to say to the market, we're going to grow a certain percentage, and they want to hit it, right? It's almost worse to go, we did 30% increase this year, and then the next year not get the 30% increase. The sustainability and the variability within the organization becomes a key factor to leaders. And you also think about that in a lot of organizations that have a value chain. So whether that's an energy organization with oil and gas or mining, or a manufacturing organization, in mining or petroleum, you can get a whole bunch of stuff out of the ground in a really ethically responsible way. But if you don't have a way to get that to market, well, you don't want to be faster. You want to have less variability. You just want to do what you say you're going to do. So at large organizations, often the concern is that spike. How do we flatten the spike? How do we just simply say, we're going to do what we say we're going to do? So Cory, let's do another role play. And let's do a role play that is maybe a bit more connected to returns. As an executive, what question would you ask?
Well, Peter, I hear all of this noise, that companies are all over the place are claiming huge productivity increases from AI implementations. So I'm curious, is this just a big bubble or that will burst? I just don't know how much should I believe what I'm hearing, but I also don't know how much should I invest in it if it's going to affect my variability.
That's great. So let's go back to talk to the audience for a second. So this is another one of those types of questions that when leaders are asking us about these productivity increases and this concern, it's an opportunity for us to talk about how to tie this back to human experiences in order to make it real, right? So one of the things that we could say to Cory as a leader is something like, yeah, there's many failures right now, and there's a challenge with a poor return on investment, and it's sad. But the systems that are well designed and that connect to the objectives of the organization, not just the objectives of the technology, but the objectives of the organization, and implement technology that makes our people better or makes humans better, those are the ones that work. And I'd be happy to share some examples. Now, whether or not there's a bubble that connects to it, well, again, it depends on the implementation, and it depends on whether or not it's truly making people better. And the ones that are making people better, those are the ones that are succeeding. How's that feel, Cory?
I think I'm starting to get it. I'm feeling a bit more comfortable with, the picture, the picture ahead. So now the question is, so if we do one of these projects, how do I ensure that we don't have a bubble, but that it's actually something that we can sustain, that it's going to be sustainable going forward?
Great question. Let's go back and talk to our live stream audience for a second. So when we think about these large projects, there's a list of things, like with any good projects and any good implementation, that are keys to success, and others that are early identifiers of failure. And while it would be really easy to give a huge list at this point, this is one of those ones where it has to be tuned really effectively to the leader that we're talking to. But let's talk about a few to the audience first, that are lists of things that could be issues, right? That could be challenges as we go along the way. And many of these actually connect to our previous presentation that we had. So I appreciate the synergy between the presentations that we're having. So the first one is going back to what we've been talking about a lot, which is that clear connection to strategy and objectives, where AI becomes the trophy instead of the how to get to the trophy better, right? So one of those points of challenge is aligning to the objectives and focusing on what needs to be done and why it's being done. Now, when we go deeper in, absence of leadership is a big challenge, right? Where we put a piece of technology out, and it's not just AI, but it's all kinds of technology, and then leadership kind of not always there. So as a leader within the organization, the implementations of AI are most successful when there is clear leadership throughout it, a clear champion as it goes through. I know we're going through these pretty rapid fire. The next one is lack of accountability, right? So this was touched on in our previous presentation about accountability. And yeah, there's a lot of trust in what AI puts out, and there's a lot of trust but verify still, depending on the technology. But accountability, again, back to the objectives of the business, the objectives of the team, not just the objectives of the AI technology. Next would be connections to decision rights. Now, this may sound a little bit strange as well, but in roles of humans within organizations, we have different decisions that people make every day. And certain people are authorized to make certain decisions. So an executive would be authorized to make some decisions, a director, another one, a business analyst, different decisions. They're all within the scope of their role. But often when AI comes in, there's a question of, well, who decides? Does the AI technology, do I decide? Is it a recommend? Clarity on that is one of the things that brings forward a lot of success. Next is visibility. What is it doing, right? I really appreciated our last speaker about when he said that sometimes you put something into the AI and you don't even necessarily know what it's doing and how it got to that result and what assumptions it made. So visibility on that, but again, visibility on the bigger enterprise picture of you've got a how of the AI. How does it connect to the objectives of the organization? And then silos. Silos can be a real problem. AI within a silo can be good as it nurtures, but then if it doesn't break down, the promised results start to degrade. And I'll share simply from experience, costs can tend to increase as well, right? Where the cost year 2, year 3, year 4 just goes up, up, up. And it doesn't necessarily connect to the promised results. So those are a couple quick hits of some of the challenges. But if we go back, Cory, to your question, one of the things that we could focus in on as a first example, we could say, well, Cory, one of the reasons why that we have failures is because of a lack of connection between what the AI is being asked to do and the objectives to the organization. And we can work together to strengthen that so that the way the AI is implemented, its key performance indicators are directly connected to whether or not people are better and whether or not we're helping to achieve those objectives of our organization faster, more accurately, and to reduce variability of spikes. So that if we say we're going to do something with the budget that we have and the time we have, we actually accomplish it and not spike up and then crash down. So I've talked a lot there, Cory. What do you think?
Where do I sign? Let's get started. I'm like, you understand me, and thank you for helping me clarify all of this noise, right? It's really these are very confusing times. I mean, think about it, Peter. I have a job to do every day. Now I have to think about technology on top of it. And like, yeah, I love the technology, but it's like so right now you're just kind of like make me think, hey, it's not one or the other. I can probably just think about it as the how and the same goals that I have to do. So thank you. It's helped me a lot.
Thanks, Cory. Going back to our live stream audience, Cory in her role play here is an expert in the business. You likely are meeting executives who are experts in what they do. And that is respected and valued. They may not be experts in artificial intelligence or in technology, but they know what good looks like for their business. And if we as transformational leaders can help them accelerate that, understand that, and integrate within that, we're speaking their language, right? We're able to help them continue to do what they do really well, and at the same time, help that grow. So thank you, Cory, for that. And again, this was a kind of a new thing that we're trying for this type of format of the presentation. And hopefully our audience liked that. We'd love some feedback as we go through. If it's okay, Cory, I just have a couple of thoughts to conclude. And I think
Absolutely.
we're kind of close to end of time. One of the things that I wanted to additionally share with the group here is around adoption of AI technologies. So we often have a challenge with adoption, and it's human nature quite often to, as soon as something gets hard, what do? We go, why are we doing this, right? And it's almost just organizational change basics. Wow, this is getting really, really hard. Who told me to do this? Who told me to adopt this? And within organizations, there's also some fear around AI and what it means for roles and what it means for people. The more that as transformational leaders, we can help executives to cascade the message throughout the organization, and the more that we can help to help the organization understand AI, the more that people will be able to see that connection between how AI is being used and the why, connecting back to the business and connecting back to objectives that are clear and what that team, that division, that company as a whole has said are the goals, whether that be 1 year, 2 year, 3 year goals, but really clearly connect when it gets hard to why we're doing it. And in addition to that, it helps with the human adoption. So adoption of AI has been very, very quick. But in a lot of organizations, and even with a lot of consumer-based tools that we get for free, adoption may be there, but accountability on the other side isn't always there. And I think there's themes of presentations out there on accountability in AI. It's becoming more and more common. The more that we can help people understand the why, the more that the accountability will become clearer, and the more that the organization will be able to adopt AI in an easier fashion. And then going back to our silos, organizations, especially big ones, and like the organization that Cory was doing a role play for a leader, there can be silos within the organization. An IT team says, here's a new technology. Congratulations, you have Copilot today. This is great. Let's start using it. The why, as it fits to your part of the organization, the why as it fits into the whole entire organization, should still tie back to the goals and the objectives, so that it's super clear when it gets hard, or also when there becomes challenges with adoption where people are maybe using it inappropriately, or people are trying to unlock new ways of using it, and it's not really clear, or what the guardrails are. Tying back to that why is super important. So those are some thoughts regarding our subject. And Cory, do you want to come back in?
Here we are.
So good. Hey, it's the Cory team. Hey, Peters
Hey,
and
Denise.
Cory. First of all, so good. I was like, okay, really better than Netflix. Okay, just watching the dialogue back and forth. This is so good. And look, we have commentary from Marina. Wow, this was definitely the best session. Let's go. Although I know we're not through the full 3 days, but seriously. So there you go. This topic alone, and just again, Cory, you were in your element. I don't know if you ever thought about being an actress, but girlfriend, listen.
We're for hire.
Listen, okay.
We might have a new career, Peter.
Awesome.
But it's like we get each other. That's the thing. Like, we've done this.
I do have a couple questions that came in, Peter, if I can ask, and then Cory, you can chime in based on your experience. But one of the main questions that came in, and some people asked it a couple different ways, in terms of the misconception, like what's one, Peter or Cory, from your experience, what's one misconception you often have to correct when executives first start talking about AI strategy? Like from your experience, Peter, you've seen and done a lot of this. What's that one misconception?
Well, first of all, it depends on the executive that's talking about AI strategy. So I hate to say like where in the organizational chart is the person, but understanding their background and asking them some additional probing questions usually helps to understand their context. And I found, and I've made the mistake a number of times in the past, where I've generalized and didn't understand their context before answering. So asking a few more questions is always super, super valuable before jumping in. Now, with that said, I would say that, context is king on this one, Denise. This is a challenging one because it depends.
Yep. So if we can maybe just give a scenario of like maybe two different roles, right? So if it's someone at the C-suite and like that higher level versus, maybe middle leadership level, and that because it doesn't show exactly the level that this person is inquiring about, but what does it look like on both angles?
So ask me the question as a senior leader, Denise.
Sure. So what is one misconception as I, a senior leader, start to adapt and talk about this AI strategy, right? What do I need to correct as I'm talking to maybe some of my colleagues about adaptation of AI strategy into our organization? How's that?
Okay. So I'll simply and directly answer that by saying one of the biggest misconceptions is that AI is very, very low cost and is very, very quick to be accurate and to be able to do things for you immediately. AI takes a bit of time, which is why you connect that very effectively to your goals and objectives of the organization, and you try your best to reduce variability within that, right? Because you could see a spike, but is it sustainable, right? And there is many that go, well, I was told by that vendor who pitched that idea that I'm going to get 50% return. Well, maybe, but are you going to get 50% return sustainably over 3 years? And as a result of that 50% return, is your cost of maintenance of that AI going to increase? So one of the things that I know I've seen in the past is you get in, and because AI, especially within an enterprise perspective, requires a lot of data and a lot of computing power, it can get quite expensive. So the first year it's like, hey, this is really cheap. And then the next year is really expensive. I remember there was a joke at one organization that said, nobody will get fired for signing that agreement, but somebody might get fired for doing the renewal, right? And that is sometimes the case with the ROI of some of these things.
Yeah.
So the time and the money compared to the return, those need to be looked at long term.
Love that. Love that. Thank you for that response. And then just one quick follow on, keeping on the theme of what we've been talking about yesterday about, keeping, the human element at the forefront of all of this. How do you keep the human element, like leadership, empathy, trust, at the center of an AI enabled transformation? Like you just spoke solely on that. Like, how do you keep human at the center of all of this?
Yeah.
Hey, you start by buying the book.
Yeah, there's a book. I don't know if anyone's heard about this book that's out there. It's pretty awesome. The key is not technology for the sake of technology.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many awesome things, but we need to understand the why, and we need to effectively cascade that and communicate that across the organization, whether that is part of the organization that is a technology focus, part of the organization that's operations, finance, HR. The more that it can be understood where it ties back to here's the objectives that we need to meet, and here's what good looks like. Here's what success looks like, and here's how this tool, I hate to use this illustration, but Batman's not a superhero that has powers. He's just got a lot of cool technology, right? And he's very rich, right? So he uses that piece of technology on his utility belt to do things. AI can be a lot like that suit and that utility belt to help be better at what you do, but it's not going to give you superpowers and it's not going to change your why. So you have to tie it back to the why of the organization and treat it in the right spot. So that cascade, that email maybe that goes out from the senior leader isn't necessarily with the headline of congratulations, we are now using AI here. It's let's talk about our objectives and what good looks like. Now, how are we going to get this together? Or how are we going to meet it together? Well, we're going to do that by introducing this technology to help people be better. And this is what it will mean for changes to the organization. Now, it's an entire follow-up conversation to this one potentially on what does that mean for the operating model of the organization. That's a whole additional thing that could be its own session in itself.
Part two coming
that
soon.
Could be part two, absolutely.
You'll be seeing more of this.
Yes, so good. Thank you so much for breaking that down, Peter. That was really, really dynamic. And again, thank you. I'm seeing the commentary in the chat. Thank you for the energy that you both brought to this topic. Again, very, very sort of unknown and misconceived topic, right? So thank you for bringing some truth and some visibility to this topic for sure. Thank you both. Thank you, Peter. Again, let's give it up for Peter. And thank you again, Cory. So we are just about we're at the end. We are at the end of day 2. Very, very excited. Cory, how did it go for you today? How was it for you?
I am like, learning lots, applying. It's I can't imagine what our audience is, going through, what everybody's consuming here, because I got notes everywhere.
Yes.
And definitely love our speakers. They are experts in what they do. They're not just like making this up. And but I think that, just wanted to put a bow into that conversations that we had today. I wanted to end with this, is that AI is not just about the technology. Just a reminder, AI is about humans, and it's built, not they, it's us, getting involved in it. And it starts with the conversations that matter, right? So if you watched, this exercise between Peter and I, it really is about asking questions, starting that conversation. Don't make assumptions. The other thing that I took from this conversation as well is that don't expect an instant gratification, because AI, I've heard this analogy many times, is that when you start implementing it just as technology, it's almost like you're bringing in a new employee into your organization. You need to onboard it. You need to introduce it to different areas, right? So if you start thinking about, what I shared yesterday, that AI is not a tool or a system, it really is another stakeholder. Then how do you introduce it to these different areas of your company so that you bust the silos? So that is not something living in the basement or in the C-suite, right? It's really, really, really important. And the other thing is that it is not a short-term strategy. So if we're looking at it, initiatives in the past, when there's like digital transformation, boom, you bucket it, like in this year, we're going to accomplish these things. And then they're, time slotted, and then you can almost predict what's happening afterwards. If you heard, what Peter was saying, is you have to consider about the year over year, right? Like the impact, and consider that also in your budget. But also, my friends, if you're listening to this and you're probably, an entrepreneur, like, you're on your own, same rules apply. Don't think that you're all of a sudden going to be promised that you're going to delegate all of these things as if it's something you're going to hand off to AI, or, you're going to create an agent that's going to do it all for you. It still needs you. It still needs the human element, right? So just caution, on these different aspects, because I don't want anyone being misled that AI is a magic formula. It's like, no, let's understand it, right? And that's why I'm inviting you to connect, at the 4xmethod.com, because it's about the conversations. When you go to what I'm preparing, go to the 4xmethod.com and let's connect, because that's where we're going to be able to unpack all of these conversations that we're having with the AI Leadership Summit and put it together to what does it mean to you? What does it mean, and what should you be preparing? We've talked about how do you build it for humans. We've talked about, how to cautiously consume, prompts when we went through it with Margaret yesterday. We talked today about those guardrails. Like Nelson did such a great job in sharing, the guardrails and the risks and the human factor in AI. And the human factor is you to begin with, right? It's like, let's talk real language here. It's like the humans and the risks with it. And then Peter is really talking about like, hey, big picture, not just short-term slots. It's this big picture. And how do you connect that AI, really start, how is this going to lead you to your Stanley Cup? But it's more, that's not the Stanley Cup, right? So love that analogy. Definitely we can have so much fun with this. And stay tuned. I'm going to bring Denise back to share with us what do we have ready for you for tomorrow, day 3, the last day, and you can't miss it.
Absolutely. You cannot miss it. You cannot miss it. Tomorrow is day 3. We have 2 other dynamic speakers to include Cory, but tomorrow we're going to be talking with Vanessa and Jenna. Really, really meaty topics. Again, bring your pen and paper. Don't miss out. Do not miss out on this. We're going to wrap up tomorrow, and then you have still your opportunity. You still have your opportunity on tomorrow to level up to yes, tomorrow. We'll do it one more day, Cory. I know. We'll have one more day of the opportunity to level up to VIP. If you want to get the replays, if you want to take these replays and go back and listen to it, take even more notes, or even apply a lot of the things that you're going to be learning on these 3 days, you want to make sure that you level up to VIP. And do not forget, as Cory has mentioned, there is an amazing opportunity to work even closer with Cory at the4xmethod.com. Please book that call. We want to hear from you. We want to chat with you. We want to have that conversation with you. Without further ado, day 2 is a wrap. Thank you so much for those that have tuned in. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. I see you, StreamYard. I see you all around the world. Congratulations for taking the time to expand your knowledge, your history, your intelligence as it relates to artificial intelligence, AI, but making it more human. Congratulations. You made it. You did it. Again, kudos to our speakers, Cory, Peter, and Nelson. You all did an amazing job today. Without further ado, you'll see me tomorrow, day 3 of the AI Leadership Summit. Congratulations again. We'll see you soon. Bye.